Hey folks, it's me. I'm often known as Edu Cherry Patty. It's my typical alias these days, and I'm here to talk about Legends of Middle-earth's new studio that I have been building since the summer this year in June. So there's a lot to talk about, and I'm not going to go into the details about what each part of the studio is for. I will make future videos about that, but I just thought it would be nice to walk through and take a look at what we've got going on. Don't mind her, she's always a little chilly in the morning. So let's do that. So the studio is optimized for a few things. The first one is motion capture. This is where I will act out scenes. I will clear the entire floor of this area, and I will act out scenes, typically from cutscene. I won't use motion capture for any of the actual in-game models that are played with, per se. But I will clear the scene and act out the scene as if it were a play or a movie. And I have these two devices on either side of me that are on these tripods that go on the ends of the studio. And they capture the forward movement and the backward movement to help map out a 3D space that I'm in. I then import that directly into 3ds Max or Maya, and I'm able to work with it from there. And it gets exported straight into the game. So it's pretty straightforward with the engine that Legends of Middle-earth uses. The next thing that I have to work on in this studio is sound. The acoustics in this room are fantastic because we have a very high ceiling and the walls are made from wood. So the wood paneling is a very organic, very acoustic, bouncing sound device. I also have some sound padding set up where appropriate. So the sound recording I do involves voice acting. I do provide my voice for the mod. In particular, I will be voicing Cylon in the new Shadow campaign, which is where a lot of this tech will get its first demo usage. So that's exciting. I also record the soundtracks here. So I record using quite a multitude of instruments. I use a lot of brass in here. I don't have my string instruments in here, but I typically record violin and viola as well. So once that's done, I bring it all together, I record it all, and then I send it to where I mostly edit things. I don't typically do a lot of editing in this room because it's not quite set up for all of my PC equipment, so it gets taken and sourced elsewhere in my house, but not in the studio. Amazing, I know. I also record a lot of the Foley sounds that you hear in the game in this part of the studio as well. So the Foley sounds, Foley is the sound of clothes, of things that people wear, of the sound objects make when they're moved, when they interact with each other. When you hear chainmail rustling when someone's moving, that is Foley, and I record that all here as well. I typically wear a chainmail hauberk, and I will make a future video about that as well, talking about it and what I wear and what I use and how I do it and what it all goes for. But the main point of the Foley that I record in here is also typically for cinematic purposes. The 3D models that I work with are at such a level of detail that they feel empty without a lot of those sounds. It's not a lot like base Age of Mythology or anything else where the style is kind of permitting a lack of detail in most places, but I feel like it really adds to the tension, to the scene, to the overall orchestration of a cinematic. I also record a lot of sounds that are used for units as well. In particular, there is bow drawing sounds, there's the sounds of swords clashing, of swords slicing, things like that. You will hear them throughout the game. So, anything else typically gets recorded in here. If not, it's recorded directly outside those windows. I will drag the equipment out here. Speaking of dragging the equipment places, you might notice that this place is actually a bit of a mess. I recently had to move a lot of stuff around and take it out west with me so I could continue doing some work while I was out there. And I've recently come back and getting resituated in the studio. So that is kind of why things are a little out of sorts. But by the time I start making more videos, shouldn't be a problem, and I'm excited, very excited, to show you all of that. So thank you for tuning in for this first little introduction, and next time there will be a lot more meat and potatoes to have at. So have fun and look forward to future updates.